Before we dive into the darkness of this case, don't forget to subscribe because once you step into this investigation, you're not coming out the same. Now, let's begin. The storm had rolled in fast, swallowing the Colorado mountains beneath heavy sheets of rain. Headlights cut through the downpour as Sheriff's Deputy Claire Holt maneuvered her cruiser up the winding road. Dispatch had only said 7 words: possible body, abandoned vehicle, canyon highway. But the tone in the operator's voice told her far more. Something wasn't right. The call had come from a passing truck driver. He reported seeing a car on the shoulder with the driver's door wide open, interior lights on, and what looked like blood on the gravel. The driver hadn't stopped, no one did on that lonely stretch at night, but he'd called it in as soon as he reached an area with reception. Claire parked behind the empty sedan. The vehicle was still running. The hazard lights blinked weakly, reflecting off the drenched asphalt. The open driver's side door creaked in the wind, tapping against the frame like a slow heartbeat. She stepped out with her flashlight, its beam slicing through the misty air. Inside the car was a mess. Papers scattered across the floor. A cell phone on the passenger seat. A half-empty travel mug still steaming. But no wallet. No keys. No driver. Claire called out into the storm. "Hello. This is law enforcement. Is anyone out here?" Only the wind answered, a hollow sound funneling through the canyon. Then she saw the footprints, fresh, leading away from the vehicle and down toward the rocky slope that descended into the forest. They were single file, spaced unevenly, as if the person was stumbling. But what made Claire's breath catch was what she saw beside them. A smear. Darkened by rain. Washed out, but unmistakable. Something had gone wrong here, seriously wrong. She followed the trail cautiously, hand hovering near her holster. The rain intensified, washing away more of the evidence with every second. Branches snapped somewhere below her, and she froze. The hair on her arms stood straight. Then the radio crackled. "Unit 4, backup en route. ETA 5 minutes. She whispered to herself, "Whatever happened, please let them still be alive." The footprints reached the tree line, then abruptly stopped. Like the person had vanished. Claire swept her flashlight in slow arcs. The beam passed over thick pines, exposed roots, and boulders until it caught something reflective. A sliver of metal? No, something flatter. She crouched. A laminated ID badge lay partially buried in wet soil. She brushed off the mud and read the name. Evan Cole, Field Investigator, Horizon Analytics. She didn't know the company, but the badge had been torn from a lanyard. The clip was bent. Someone had ripped it off. Claire swallowed hard. "Dispatch," she said. "I need state police, crime scene, and an investigator. This is no accident." She didn't know it yet, but this discovery would ignite one of the largest interstate investigations Colorado had ever seen, and she had just stepped directly into the epicenter. 2 hours earlier, Denver International Airport. Evan Cole stepped off the plane with the calm confidence of someone used to working alone. He specialized in corporate audit investigations, fraud, data breaches, whistleblower claims. He'd solved dozens of cases involving major firms across the country. But this assignment was different. His firm, Horizon Analytics, had sent him to Colorado on short notice. The email had been brief. Urgent. Sensitive case. Meet informant in person. Discuss nothing over phone or email. The message included a time, a location, and a note. Use discretion. You may be followed. Evan had shown the message to a colleague before leaving. Looks like a whistleblower situation, the man had said. Try not to get killed. It was a joke. But Evan hadn't laughed. At baggage claim, Evan noticed a man watching him leaning against a support pillar with his hands in his jacket pockets. When Evan made eye contact, the man looked away, then disappeared into the crowd. Evan tried to shake it off, but the feeling stayed with him. 90 minutes later, he was on Canyon Highway, driving through the mountains to meet the informant. The road was nearly deserted. His GPS had lost signal twice. And then, his car began to sputter. The engine coughed once, then died completely. He guided it to the shoulder, confused. He popped the door open to check under the hood just as another pair of headlights appeared behind him. The vehicle slowed. Stopped. But the lights were too bright for him to see the driver. Evan shielded his eyes. "Hey. Sorry, looks like my car." The lights flickered off. Silence. Then footsteps. Evan backed away slowly. This wasn't a good Samaritan. "Who's there?" he asked. A low voice answered, calm and unsettling. "You weren't supposed to make it this far." And then, darkness. Present, crime scene perimeter. By the time Detective Marcus Hale arrived, state troopers had the scene secured and CSI teams were combing the area with portable floodlights. Hale was known for two things: intense focus and a stubborn refusal to let cases go cold. He stepped out of his vehicle, pulled up the hood of his rain jacket, and surveyed the scene. Deputy Clare gave him a quick briefing. "Hale, the car belongs to an Evan Cole, corporate investigator. No sign of him. No one saw anything. The footprints you're looking for? Already half gone from the rain." Hale nodded. "Phone. Wallet. Phone's inside. Wallet and keys missing." Hale frowned. Someone took him. Or forced him to go somewhere. Claire handed him the ID badge she found. Hale studied it carefully. Field investigator. This guy wasn't here for vacation. "Looks like he was meeting someone," Claire said. His GPS had a destination saved, Pine Ridge Overlook. That sound familiar? Hale's expression sharpened. That lookout closed months ago after a rockslide. Why would he go there? She shrugged. Maybe he didn't know. Hale wasn't convinced. He turned to the CSI tech kneeling beside the car. "What do we have?" "No fingerprints except the victims," the tech said. "No broken glass, no struggle inside the vehicle." But what?" The tech pointed to the driver's side door frame. "There's a thin scratch here. Could be from a tool. Possibly someone tampered with the lock." Hale crouched. "It's clean. Precise. Whoever did this knew what they were doing." Claire looked concerned. "So, this wasn't spontaneous?" "No," Hale said quietly. "Someone planned it." A trooper approached. "Detective, we also found something else about 30 yards down the slope." He led them to the edge of the tree line. An object lay beneath a fallen branch. A tracking device. Hale picked it up with gloved hands. "This doesn't look like consumer-grade tech." Claire raised an eyebrow. So he was being followed. Hale turned the device over several times, analyzing its sleek, unmarked casing. Someone wanted to know where Evan went. And wanted him to stay off the grid. Claire looked unsettled. "Doesn't this feel bigger than a simple missing person case?" Hale nodded slowly. "Much bigger." The first lead, a call from Denver. Back at his unmarked SUV, Hale dialed tech support from the department's cybercrime division. "Can you trace anything on an ID badge? I need employment data for Horizon Analytics." The tech sounded surprised. "Detective, Horizon Analytics is no small company. They handle corporate investigations, financial crimes, security audits, mostly for federal contractors." "Federal contractors?" Hale repeated. "Yes. They've been involved in whistleblower cases, data leaks, high-stakes fraud investigations, stuff that never makes the news." Hale felt that familiar tightness in his chest, the feeling that a case was about to consume him. "Pull everything you can on Evan Cole. Personnel file, active cases, recent assignments. Priority 1. The tech hesitated. "Detective, that might take time." "Then start now." He hung up. Deputy Clare approached. "Anything?" "Yeah," Hale said. Evan wasn't just some investigator. He handled sensitive cases people would kill to keep quiet. She folded her arms. "So someone didn't want him meeting his informant." "That's my guess." He looked toward the dark tree line again. The rain had stopped. Fog hovered over the ground like a warning. Claire spoke softly. "Do you think he's still alive?" Hale didn't respond. Because he didn't know. Inside Evan's suitcase. Troopers retrieved Evan's luggage from the trunk. Hale opened it carefully, searching for anything that could point to why he came here. Inside were neatly folded clothes, a laptop, 2 chargers, a notebook, and a thick envelope marked, Case 47F, Preliminary Notes. Hale opened the envelope. Inside were printed emails, spreadsheets, and memos related to a company called Northbridge Systems, a contractor with government ties. Claire leaned closer. What's Northbridge? Hale frowned. They're a nationwide logistics contractor. Transporting sensitive materials. Power grid components. Defense hardware. Classified shipments. Claire raised an eyebrow. And Evan was investigating them? Looks like someone within Northbridge contacted Horizon Analytics. A whistleblower. What did they claim? Hale flipped through the papers. Most were redacted. But one short note stood out, a printed email with highlighted text. Shipment discrepancies. Route deviations. Unauthorized transfers. If I'm right, someone inside is rerouting materials for off-record distribution. Meeting you Wednesday. No digital communication. Underneath, Evan had written. Whistleblower sounds scared. Possible threat. Use caution. Claire exhaled sharply. So Evan was supposed to meet the whistleblower tonight? Exactly, Hale said. And someone didn't want that meeting to happen. A witness appears. Just as Hale was about to close the suitcase, a trooper called out. Detective. Someone's here asking for you. A man in his late 50s, soaking wet, stood near the tape line. A truck driver's cap hung low over his eyes. His hands shook slightly as he smoked a damp cigarette. I'm the one who called it in, he said. Figured I should stick around. Name? Hale asked. Roger. Roger Timmons. What did you see, Roger? Anything specific? Roger wiped his face. Well, when I passed by, the car door was open. Light was on. But there was something else. What? Roger hesitated, glancing toward the woods. There was another vehicle. Parked behind him. Hale stiffened. Did you see who was inside? No, Roger said. But the car was dark blue. Maybe a sedan. Tinted windows. Did it follow you? Roger shook his head. Didn't see it again. But something felt wrong. Like whoever was inside didn't want to be noticed. Hale nodded slowly. You did the right thing calling it in. Roger swallowed hard. Detective, this might sound strange, but when I drove by, I could have sworn the driver wasn't alone. Hale stiffened. Meaning what? Roger's voice dropped to a whisper. I saw a shadow behind him. Like someone was standing right outside the door. The phone unlocks itself. Back at the car, the forensics team worked on Evan's cell phone. Surprisingly, it had no lock screen. It opened immediately. Detective, a tech called, you need to see this. Hale approached. The message threads were ordinary work, a few friends, a sister. But one contact was pinned at the top. Unknown number. The messages read. 6:42 p.m. You're late. 6:44 p.m. The meeting spot changed. New route incoming. 6:45 p.m. Don't talk to anyone. Don't stop for anything. 6:49 p.m. They know you're here. Hale stared. Until a young CSI tech called out around 3 a.m. Or the whistleblower did, Hale said. A trooper approached from behind them. Detective, we swept another 200 yards. Nothing else. Hale exhaled. The air felt heavy, weighted with what they weren't seeing. Claire looked around uneasily. So what does this mean? Hale turned the flashlight off, staring into the darkness. It means someone wanted us to find this symbol. And whatever Evan uncovered, he paused, is bigger than anything we expected. Cliffhanger, the discovery that changes everything. By dawn, the search team was exhausted. Hale prepared to brief the department, but before he could get into his SUV, a trooper ran toward him. Detective. We just checked the trunk again. Hale frowned. Why? It was empty. The trooper shook his head. Not anymore. Hale marched to the car, confusion mounting. The trooper opened the trunk. Inside, placed neatly in the center as if intentionally arranged, lay a sealed envelope and a USB drive. Claire stared. That definitely wasn't there before. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, because you won't believe the twists that are coming next. One wrong move, and this case could swallow you whole. Detective Marcus Hale stared at the sealed USB drive, his mind racing. The symbol, triangle, 3 dots, had never appeared in a case this high-profile before. Whoever used it was methodical, deliberate. Someone who wanted a trail left, but only for the right eyes. And somehow, Evan Cole was still alive, but clearly trapped, or worse, under constant surveillance. Claire Holt looked over his shoulder. Do we open it? Now. Hale shook his head. Not here. Too exposed. Whoever left this, they're still out there. And they're watching. Instead, Hale drove to the state police's cybercrime lab in Denver. The rain had stopped completely, leaving mist rising from wet asphalt, giving the city streets a gray, ominous glow. He felt a familiar tension in the pit of his stomach, the kind that told him this case was about to spiral far beyond the canyon road. The lab. By the time Hale arrived, the cybercrime unit had set up a secure workstation. Specialist Priya Menon had a reputation for breaking down the most encrypted drives. Hale trusted her instincts. Priya, he began, placing the USB on the desk, you're going to need to crack this drive without leaving a trace. Someone set this up like a trap. Priya's fingers danced over the keyboard. It's encrypted with multi-layered AES. And there's a self-erasing protocol if tampered with. Hale nodded. Exactly why I brought it straight to you. Priya's eyes narrowed. This wasn't just someone taking notes. Whoever did this wants control. Every move Evan made, they want to predict it. Claire leaned in. So the guy's watching us too? Priya didn't answer immediately. She typed quickly, bypassing firewalls and checking for any hidden signatures in the drive's code. Yes, and worse. The drive is communicating with a server. Someone is remotely pinging it right now. Hale felt a chill. So they're monitoring this. Yes. And they know it's being accessed. If they detect anomalies, Evan could be in immediate danger. Claire exhaled sharply. Then why bring it here? Because, Priya said, eyes glued to the screen, if we don't, we'll never understand what's happening. This is the first real clue that can lead us to him. Hale nodded. Then let's see what they've left. The first clues. The drive decrypted, revealing 3 folders: instructions, evidence, and locations. Hale opened instructions first. A text file appeared. Detectives, if you care about the investigator, stop chasing shadows. Or the shadows will chase you. Everything Evan uncovered points to people far beyond your jurisdiction. You are running out of time. Claire slammed the table. Who writes like that? Are they taunting us? Hale ignored her, clicking on the evidence folder. Hundreds of files appeared: emails, invoices, shipping manifests, surveillance footage, and photographs. Most of the images were blurry, low resolution, deliberate obfuscation, but some showed corporate facilities, vehicles parked outside unknown addresses, and people Evan had likely tried to meet. One file caught Hale's attention, a photo of a man with a briefcase leaving a warehouse in Chicago. A timestamp indicated it had been taken 3 hours before Evan disappeared. Priya leaned over. Look at his hand. See that band on his wrist? That's a company ID band from Northbridge Systems. And it's not just any employee, this is a manager-level security badge. Hale's eyes narrowed. So Evan's whistleblower case, it's already moving at a level we didn't expect. Exactly, Priya said. This isn't just fraud or theft. Someone inside is orchestrating an operation that spans multiple states. Evan was in way over his head. Tracking the locations. Hale clicked the locations folder. Maps appeared, each with pins marking different addresses across Colorado, Nebraska, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. Each pin had time-stamped notes. Denver, Canyon Highway, car found. No victim. Chicago, Northbridge warehouse, possible unauthorized shipment. Lincoln, transit hub, scheduled delivery discrepancies. Pittsburgh, unknown office, meeting place for whistleblower. Claire's hand hovered over the mouse. So Evan was literally following a trail across the country? Yes, Hale said grimly. And someone knew exactly where he was every step of the way. Priya tapped a key. Detective, look at this, every location has security footage. But it's incomplete, missing timestamps in the footage that match Evan's movements. Whoever's doing this, they're editing reality to confuse us. Claire felt her stomach twist. So we can't trust any footage, any reports, nothing. Hale rubbed his face. That's why we need to act fast. Evan's life isn't just at risk, this is bigger than one man. And someone out there is making sure we never put the pieces together before it's too late. The lead in Chicago. The next morning, Hale flew to Chicago with Claire and a small team. Northbridge Systems warehouse loomed over an industrial park, imposing and cold. Surveillance cameras dotted the corners of the building. Trucks lined the loading docks, but most doors were sealed tight. Inside, Hale met with a local officer, Detective Lena Vargas. Detective Hale, Vargas said, her tone cautious. We've been tracking Northbridge activity for months. But something changed. Small shipments were rerouted, logs were deleted, and staff turnover increased. Hale's eyes scanned the facility. And this connects to Evan Cole? Yes, Vargas said. According to our records, Evan contacted multiple employees under aliases. He was trying to meet someone with inside information, someone who knew the discrepancies were deliberate. Hale nodded, thinking through the puzzle. Evan's whistleblower was clearly trying to expose a network of illicit activity. But now that Evan was gone, the trail was muddled. Whoever orchestrated the abductions wanted confusion. They examined the security tapes. Footage showed Evan arriving at a warehouse door late at night. He knocked. Nothing. Then the door opened slightly. A shadow appeared. Then the camera feed cut out for 30 seconds. Hale leaned closer. Someone wanted him to disappear on tape. This was planned. Vargas added, and we think someone was watching him from inside. Every entrance, every exit, every employee. The entire place is rigged with cameras and motion sensors. Claire whispered, so they controlled the building, and our evidence. Yes, Hale said quietly. And if Evan was inside, he was trapped. The first breakthrough. Back at their temporary office, Priya began analyzing metadata from the USB drive. A pattern emerged, a string of coordinates hidden in the encrypted files. When plotted on a map, they formed a route: Colorado, Chicago, Nebraska, Pennsylvania. Hale traced his finger along the screen. These aren't random. Someone is forcing Evan along this path. Priya nodded. And look at this, the timestamps suggest he was being transported roughly every 12 hours. Whoever's doing this is moving him like clockwork. Claire's voice trembled. So Evan's alive, but he's a prisoner. Yes, Hale said grimly. And if we don't figure out where he is now, we could lose him forever. Suddenly, Priya froze. Detective, one of the emails contains a hidden IP address. It's coming from Pittsburgh. Hale's eyes narrowed. So that's where the whistleblower, or at least the next clue, is. Claire asked, do we go there now? Hale hesitated. Yes. But cautiously. Whoever's orchestrating this knows we're following. They've already taunted us. And they're dangerous. Danger closes in. The flight to Pittsburgh was tense. Hale and Claire discussed the evidence. Every conversation seemed to echo with a warning. This wasn't just a case of missing person or corporate fraud, it was a carefully constructed labyrinth. Each clue was meant to lead them forward, but also test their instincts. Halfway to Pittsburgh, Hale's phone buzzed. It was a text message, no number, no signature. Stop digging or the next clue will be Evan's last. Claire stared at the screen. They're threatening him. Hale's jaw tightened. Yes. And they're smart. They know we'll keep going. That's exactly what they want. Another message appeared seconds later. Check the railroad tracks at mile marker 42. Or don't. Your choice. Hale showed it to Claire. This is a trap. But it's also the only lead we have. The railroad tracks. By dusk, Hale and Claire arrived at the abandoned tracks outside Pittsburgh. The fog rolled over the rails, low and thick. Abandoned freight cars loomed like ghosts in the distance. The smell of damp iron filled the air. Claire tightened her jacket. Detective, something feels off. Too quiet. Hale nodded. Exactly. But we don't have a choice. They walked along the tracks, flashlights slicing through the fog. Every footstep echoed, every rustle of metal or wood made them jump. Then Claire spotted something. A small package, taped to one of the rails. Hale approached. It contained a single note. You're close. Or further than you think. Look beneath the car that never left the road. Hale's heart raced. The Canyon Highway car, he whispered. This is connected. Claire's voice shook. So, they're leading us back, to the first scene? Hale nodded slowly. Yes. And whatever's waiting there, it's part of a larger game. The twist. Back at the Canyon Highway site, Hale and Claire arrived under the cover of night. Fog had returned, heavy and blinding. The car was gone. Not towed, not moved, just gone. Even the tire tracks vanished. Hale muttered under his breath, "They know we're coming." Then a movement in the trees. A faint shadow. Hale raised his flashlight. Claire pointed toward a mound of dirt near the tree line. Something was buried. Hale signaled to Claire, and they approached carefully. A shallow trench had been dug recently. And inside, a small, locked metal box. Claire's voice trembled. What is it? Hale lifted the box, his gloved hands shaking slightly. The lock had no key, but there was a combination dial. On instinct, he dialed the same sequence as the triangle symbol: 3, then 2, then 1. Click. The box opened. Inside, a single envelope. Hale pulled it out. The front read, "You're in deeper than you know. The game isn't over." Inside was another photograph. Evan Cole. Alive. Blindfolded. And next to him, someone wearing a black jacket, holding what looked like a tablet. The triangle and 3 dots were drawn on the wall behind him again. Hale's blood ran cold. This isn't just a kidnapping, he whispered. It's a warning. And now, they're showing us the next move. Claire looked at him, eyes wide. So, what do we do now? Hale stared into the darkness, heart pounding. We follow the trail. Because if we don't, Evan's next photo could be the last one we ever see. Chapter 2 ends on this cliffhanger. The tension escalates. Evan is alive, but controlled, the perpetrators are always one step ahead, and the detectives must follow a twisted, multi-state trail of clues. If you want, I can immediately start Chapter 3, where the stakes peak, the final confrontation happens, and the story concludes with a shocking twist. Before we reveal the final twists, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about this case. Detective Marcus Hale sat in the command van outside the abandoned industrial site in Pittsburgh. Fog clung to the air like a heavy curtain, and every passing sound, a snapping branch, a distant engine, felt amplified in the silence. Claire Holt checked her phone again. No new messages, no updates, only the static hum of tension. The envelope from the railroad tracks had confirmed their worst fears. Evan Cole was alive, but he was in constant danger. Whoever orchestrated this had planned every move, every clue, every misstep to control the investigation. And now, the game had led them to Pittsburgh, the final waypoint in a trail that spanned states, warehouses, and shadowy contacts. Hale leaned back in his chair, studying the map spread across the table. Pins connected by lines traced Evan's forced path from Colorado to Chicago, Nebraska, and finally to Pennsylvania. Whoever was behind this had intelligence, resources, and patience, everything needed to outsmart even the best investigators. Priya Menon, cybercrime specialist, tapped on her laptop. "Detective, I traced the last IP from the USB drive to a secure server inside this industrial zone. Whoever is holding Evan is monitoring that network in real time." Hale's gaze sharpened. "So if we move too fast or too slow, they'll know?" "Yes," Priya confirmed. "They could be watching through cameras, microphones, maybe even motion sensors inside the building. It's a high-tech trap." Claire exhaled. "So what's the plan?" Hale's jaw tightened. "We go in smart. No heroics. No rushing. This is about reading their trail, predicting their next move, and cutting them off before they get to him or us. The approach. The team approached the warehouse in tactical formation, flashlights sweeping the mist. Broken pallets and rusted machinery cast jagged shadows across the walls. Hale signaled to Claire and 2 officers, and they split into 2 entry points, front door and side loading dock. Every sound echoed like a gunshot in the fog. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous, rows of stacked crates and empty shelves creating narrow corridors of darkness. The faint hum of electronics could be heard in the distance, confirming Priya's warning. The place was wired for surveillance. Hale whispered, eyes sharp. Check every corner, every shadow. They moved carefully. Claire's flashlight caught a flicker of movement, something darker than the shadows themselves. A figure disappeared behind a stack of crates. Hale signaled to hold position. Suddenly, the faint sound of footsteps, rapid, deliberate, echoed from the far end of the warehouse. Hale's pulse quickened. This wasn't random movement. Whoever was here was expecting them. Then a faint electronic beep. The sound came from a small device near the crates, a motion sensor, rigged to alert the captors. Hale froze. Claire glanced at him. They know we're here, she whispered. Yes, he said quietly. And now, we make them pay for underestimating us. The discovery. They followed the sound to a narrow corridor leading to a small reinforced room. The door was steel, with a small reinforced window at eye level. Hale crouched and peered inside. Inside, Evan Cole sat on a metal chair, blindfolded, hands bound. A man in a black jacket stood behind him, speaking rapidly into a tablet, monitoring feeds, apparently communicating instructions to another location. The symbol, the triangle with 3 dots, was crudely painted on the wall behind them. Hale's breath caught. There he is, he murmured. Claire whispered, how do we get him out without triggering a trap? Hale studied the door. There was a small keypad, likely the access code for the room. Priya had noticed an earlier note from Evan with numbers hidden in the triangle symbol, 3, 2, 1. Hale pulled out the envelope from the railroad tracks, double-checked the sequence, and cautiously entered it into the keypad. Click. The door unlocked. Hale motioned for the team to hold. Quiet. Move slow. The confrontation. They entered the room. The man with the tablet noticed them instantly. Stop, he shouted, voice clipped. You have no idea what you're interfering with. Hale stepped forward. Put the tablet down. It's over. The man's eyes darted to Evan, then back to Hale. You don't understand. This isn't just a kidnapping, this is evidence. Evidence of corruption that spans multiple states, multiple agencies. If Evan leaves, everything collapses. Evan, hearing voices, tried to focus. Detective. Claire, is that you? Yes, Evan, Hale said softly. You're safe. We've got you. Before we reveal the final twists, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about this case. Detective Marcus Hale sat in the command van outside the abandoned industrial site in Pittsburgh. Fog clung to the air like a heavy curtain, and every passing sound, a snapping branch, a distant engine, felt amplified in the silence. Claire Holt checked her phone again. No new messages, no updates, only the static hum of tension. The envelope from the railroad tracks had confirmed their worst fears. Evan Cole was alive, but he was in constant danger. Whoever orchestrated this had planned every move, every clue, every misstep to control the investigation. And now, the game had led them to Pittsburgh, the final waypoint in a trail that spanned states, warehouses, and shadowy contacts. Hale leaned back in his chair, studying the map spread across the table. Pins connected by lines traced Evan's forced path from Colorado to Chicago, Nebraska, and finally to Pennsylvania. Whoever was behind this had intelligence, resources, and patience, everything needed to outsmart even the best investigators. Priya Menon, cybercrime specialist, tapped on her laptop. Detective, I traced the last IP from the USB drive to a secure server inside this industrial zone. Whoever is holding Evan is monitoring that network in real time. Hale's gaze sharpened. So if we move too fast or too slow, they'll know? Yes, Priya confirmed. They could be watching through cameras, microphones, maybe even motion sensors inside the building. It's a high-tech trap. Claire exhaled. So what's the plan? Hale's jaw tightened. We go in smart. No heroics. No rushing. This is about reading their trail, predicting their next move, and cutting them off before they get to him or us. The approach. The team approached the warehouse in tactical formation, flashlights sweeping the mist. Broken pallets and rusted machinery cast jagged shadows across the walls. Hale signaled to Claire and 2 officers, and they split into 2 entry points, front door and side loading dock. Every sound echoed like a gunshot in the fog. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous, rows of stacked crates and empty shelves creating narrow corridors of darkness. The faint hum of electronics could be heard in the distance, confirming Priya's warning. The place was wired for surveillance. Hale whispered, eyes sharp. Check every corner, every shadow. They moved carefully. Claire's flashlight caught a flicker of movement, something darker than the shadows themselves. A figure disappeared behind a stack of crates. Hale signaled to hold position. Suddenly, the faint sound of footsteps, rapid, deliberate, echoed from the far end of the warehouse. Hale's pulse quickened. This wasn't random movement. Whoever was here was expecting them. Then a faint electronic beep. The sound came from a small device near the crates, a motion sensor, rigged to alert the captors. Hale froze. Claire glanced at him. They know we're here, she whispered. Yes, he said quietly. And now, we make them pay for underestimating us. The discovery. They followed the sound to a narrow corridor leading to a small reinforced room. The door was steel, with a small reinforced window at eye level. Hale crouched and peered inside. Inside, Evan Cole sat on a metal chair, blindfolded, hands bound. A man in a black jacket stood behind him, speaking rapidly into a tablet, monitoring feeds, apparently communicating instructions to another location. The symbol, the triangle with 3 dots, was crudely painted on the wall behind them. Hale's breath caught. There he is, he murmured. Claire whispered, how do we get him out without triggering a trap? Hale studied the door. There was a small keypad, likely the access code for the room. Priya had noticed an earlier note from Evan with numbers hidden in the triangle symbol, 3, 2, 1. Hale pulled out the envelope from the railroad tracks, double-checked the sequence, and cautiously entered it into the keypad. Click. The door unlocked. Hale motioned for the team to hold. Quiet. Move slow. The confrontation. They entered the room. The man with the tablet noticed them instantly. Stop, he shouted, voice clipped. You have no idea what you're interfering with. Hale stepped forward. Put the tablet down. It's over. The man's eyes darted to Evan, then back to Hale. You don't understand. This isn't just a kidnapping, this is evidence. Evidence of corruption that spans multiple states, multiple agencies. If Evan leaves, everything collapses. Evan, hearing voices, tried to focus. Detective. Claire, is that you? Yes, Evan, Hale said softly. You're safe. We've got you. The captor's expression hardened. You don't know what you're doing. If you take him, the consequences. Hale cut him off. You've already crossed the line. The law is coming for you, and you're done manipulating anyone else. The man lunged for the tablet, trying to escape into the warehouse's deeper corridors. Hale tackled him to the ground. The struggle was brief but intense. Claire helped restrain the man while Hale untied Evan. The truth emerges. Once safe, Evan removed his blindfold. His eyes were wide, but alive. It's bigger than you realize, he said quickly. Northbridge isn't just misrouting shipments, they're facilitating black market operations under the guise of legitimate logistics. Someone inside the company has been moving high-value assets, weapons, and sensitive tech across state lines. Hale nodded, processing the information. And the triangle symbol? It was a signal, Evan explained. Used by insiders to mark safe locations for meetings or threats. The 3 dots, different meanings depending on the context. I discovered it while trying to meet the whistleblower. Claire's jaw dropped. So everything we've been following was a carefully orchestrated game? Evan nodded. Yes. And if we hadn't traced the USB drive, I'd probably still be wherever they take people who interfere. Hale felt a wave of relief, but it was tempered by unease. Do you know who was behind all this? Evan shook his head. Not completely. The man with the tablet, he's just a middleman. The real mastermind operates in the shadows, with power at levels you can't imagine. The twist. Priya's laptop beeped. A notification popped up, an alert showing a new file on the same network they had just secured. She opened it. It was a photograph of the warehouse, taken from a drone. But in the corner of the image, a reflection in a window. Someone had been watching them the entire time, documenting every move they made during the rescue. Hale's heart sank. So even now, we're being monitored. A second file appeared, a video message. The figure appeared on screen, face obscured by shadows. Voice calm, precise. You've found him. Congratulations. But this was only the first act. The real game begins now. Think you've won? You haven't even scratched the surface. The screen went black. Claire whispered, They're still out there? Hale nodded slowly, anger and determination mixing in his chest. Yes. And we will find them. Because if they think this is over, they're wrong. Evan stood shakily. Detective, the whistleblower, they warned me about someone in law enforcement being compromised. I didn't believe it. Hale's eyes met Claire's. They both knew the implications. The network was larger than they had imagined. Corruption, betrayal, manipulation woven into a system that touched multiple agencies and companies. Resolution and reflection. By dawn, the team had secured Evan, collected the evidence from the warehouse, and alerted federal authorities. Evan provided testimony about Northbridge Systems' illegal operations, the whistleblower's warnings, and the chain of middlemen controlling the abduction network. Hale and Claire stood outside, watching the sun rise over Pittsburgh. Fog lingered in the streets, but there was a sense of quiet triumph. Evan was safe. The immediate threat was neutralized. Yet, Hale's instincts screamed at him. This wasn't the end. Priya approached, holding her laptop. Detective, the data from the USB drive, combined with Evan's testimony, will take down a significant portion of the network. But there's more. They've left digital breadcrumbs across servers in other states. Hale's jaw tightened. Then we follow the trail. One step at a time. We can't stop now. Evan looked at them with a weary but grateful smile. Thank you, for not giving up. Hale placed a hand on his shoulder. You don't thank us yet. We've got a lot of work ahead. But tonight, you're alive. That counts. Claire nodded. And this trail of clues. It led us to him, but it also showed us the real danger out there. People who think they can manipulate everything without consequence. Hale's gaze drifted toward the horizon. They thought they were untouchable. But the law, persistence, and vigilance will always find a way. Haunting ending. 3 months later, a new report came in. Another shipping anomaly at a Northbridge facility. Another missing person. And somewhere on the outskirts of Pittsburgh, in a small storage shed, the triangle symbol, 3 dots, was freshly painted on the wall. Hale read the report quietly, his mind racing. They thought the network was broken, Claire whispered. But it's still out there, Hale said grimly. And the trail, it never really ends. Evan, sitting across the table, swallowed hard. They'll come back. And next time, it might not be me. Hale leaned back, staring at the empty horizon, knowing the truth. Some games never truly end. And the shadows are always watching. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.